Hello and welcome to the Black Crow Gaming Adeptus Custodes Tactics video. I'm your host Arron and I'm back, my 10,000, for another Adeptus Custodes Tactics video. And this week we're going to be discussing about how the Lions is breaking the meta. And that's not entirely true. However, it is definitely our most represented detachment. And I'm going to use this opportunity to kind of talk about that. I'm going to highlight some of the win rates. I'm going to talk about some of the lists that I've done. One of the lists that I've recently seen, which I think was really cool. And it's from a recognized name that you'll all know. But first, we need to talk about something rather special. If you haven't been, if you're not on our Instagram, then you've missed out on some of our newest announcements. We have a new sponsor joining the team, and that is Trident FutureWorks. If you're really looking for a really sturdy, quite interesting case that not only is stackable and clickable, but also customizable in colors, go onto the Black Crow Gaming Instagram and you can see some of the work that they've been doing on the Black Crow Gaming case that is soon to be a part of our team. And we're really happy to announce that we finally have a case sponsor, and Trident FutureWorks is the perfect fit. So please, by all means, go and have a look. Go see these awesome new cases. I will be showing them off once it's in my possession very soon. If you want to get yourself some cheaper models, obviously we have Glasshammer. Just put Black Crow into the coupon code and you get an additional 5% off. But I do need to talk to you about something else. Terrain Forge have kindly sponsored us since the very beginning, and they have again provided us with another awesome giveaway. So at the end of this slide, you're going to see how you can enter the giveaway, but it's an opportunity to win a UKTC set of terrain from Terrain Forge. It is a stunning set, and if you want to buy more, you just go to the Rainforge website, put in BCG, and you get an additional 5% off. And if you really like our content, we'd really appreciate a super thanks. And all these little donations just help us grow our channel and keep developing, and all the support is really appreciated. Now, I want to apologize because we've had a bit of a quiet week last week. We were all busy at events doing things, and so we only got the live podcast out, but the live podcast was great fun. We played some games, we talked about the news, and we announced our giveaway. So if you haven't had a chance to go and watch that, you should go check that out. So this week we're going to be talking about the Adeptus Custodes Lions breaking the meta. Now, it's not really breaking the meta, but they have had some pretty encouraging win rates. So on the 31st of the 3rd, 25, that was when the Meta Monday was released a couple of weeks ago. And they basically reported that 63 players played Adeptus Custodes that weekend of events. And 42 of that player base played with Lions of the Emperor, having a 50% win rate. So that really is quite good, because actually when you have so many players, you typically find that actually the win rate is dampened down somewhat. However, having a 50% win rate with that many players is actually quite healthy, and actually it shows that is obviously the golden 50% that Games Workshop looks for. So hopefully we can continue that trend. However, going into this weekend just gone, it was a quiet weekend. There was only 29 players. And actually, again, the lion's share, get the pun, played with 16 players, with Lions of the Emperor having a 60% win rate this week. However, it was a quiet week for events, so we got to bear that in mind. And the reason it was quiet was because there was a lot of WTC style events which aren't traditionally ranked. So a lot of players were at those. So in Stockport, England, in Element Games, we had the Home Nations tournament. And that was really cool. There was Team Belgium, Team Scotland, Team England, Team Wales, Team Northern Ireland, Team Ireland, Team USA were all in attendance. And obviously Team England itself. And it was one hell of an event. They also had a side event. And I had the opportunity to be there myself, because I work with Team Scotland. I am a part of their team as their social media manager, and I am getting an opportunity to play and represent Scotland at one of their events. And it's a real privilege to be able to do that. But I did have the opportunity to speak to some fantastic Adeptus Custodes players who are representing their country at the highest level, and they're all and a lot of them who are playing these have all took Lions. There was one guy who took Solar. So why Lions of the Emperor? So it's that +1 to hit and to wound when 6 inches away from friendly units. It's super strong, and it makes the unit's damage output very consistent. And that's something you've got to be mindful of, is that +1 to wound is actually really powerful. And yes, I know Shield Host also gives you a large damage output. However, the stratagems in Shield Host and the stratagems in Lions are they're just not the same. And not that Lions has the superior stratagems, in my opinion. The only thing Lions really lacks that Shield House does have is a reactive to mortal wounds. However, the game isn't overwhelmed with mortals like it used to be, with especially with Thousand Suns not necessarily being played as regularly. That means that actually you can go into games and probably tank quite a lot of the mortal wound output with just the occasional model being lost through grenades, or maybe there may be the occasional character when in combat has a dev wound ability, but at that stage you may be able to pop your Feel No Pain with your Wardens, for example. So the stratagems, what make this detachment really pop, it's the reactive move to shooting and fight on death, very strong. Being able to take a shot from somewhere, then just reactive yourself out of the way, and if you position yourself properly, you can make it so that only that one unit had that opportunity to shoot you, and you've positioned yourself then out, and you make it so that you only need a 2-inch or 3-inch to be able to do that. That's really important. Now, if that means you're sacrificing maybe your position elsewhere, it's probably worth it just to keep that unit alive, rather than tanking it just so that you could potentially get the upper hand later. And I saw that this weekend in play at the highest level. So being able to reuse once per battle abilities could be extremely strong. For example, Trajan Valorous is Moment Shackle, or you've got the bike Virtus Praetor Captain on a bike being able to move, fight, move again, really strong, and being able to reuse that could give that unit some real maneuverability, and that's really strong and really good. And what's really great about why Lions of the Emperor is probably breaking the Custode meta is because it's the most flexible detachment to build. We have several other detachments that have got some flexibility, but not like Lions of the Emperor. Lions of the Emperor makes almost all units from Adeptus Custodes good. The vehicles are already strong, bar Dreadnoughts in this detachment, because the Dreadnoughts just go back to how they are. It's only in Solar Spearhead do our Dreadnoughts really come to life. But in Lions of the those reliable vehicles that we use, like Caladius Grav Tanks, they're still good. Nothing's changed there, so they do slot nicely into Lions, especially when you need them to do certain things. Now, in a lot of Lions lists that I saw at Home Nations, there really wasn't very many tanks. However, there was an awful lot of use of Guard with an Inquisitor. I saw a lot of Trajan Valorous on the table, but there was one list in particular that really took kind of my interest. And here's me at Lions, with Lions performing well at the WTC Home Nations, and as you can see, me really happy to be in my Team Scotland shirt at Element Games. You can see in the background there, you've got my friend Alex Fowler from Team England. He was running Custodes as well. There was a lot of amazing players there, and it was a fantastic event. So multiple countries took Adeptus Custodes at the Home Nations, with all bar one being a Lions build. Just something really interesting to note. So that's at an international level. Some of the best teams in the world were present. You had Team England, Team Wales, Team Scotland, Team Northern Ireland, Team USA, Team Scotland, obviously, Team England, Team Belgium. So some really strong teams there. And the most notable list was from the current world champion for Warhammer 40k, Folger Pyle. Yes, I got to meet the Adeptus Custodes royalty. We got to have a really great chat, and he will hopefully be appearing on this channel, on this episode, at some point in the near future, which would be great. And I was just there for the day. I represent Team Scotland as their social media manager, which is an absolute honour, but I am being given the opportunity to play for them as well. At War of the Roses in Cardiff, which is held at Firestorm Games, and I've not been there yet, but everybody who has been there has been told it's run amazingly, and the likes of Ed Watts from 6 Plus looks after that event, and apparently he does an incredible job. It's an amazing venue. The pictures really make it look incredible, and I can't wait to attend at the end of May. So Folger Pyle's list. Now everybody's going to be wondering what this is. So it was 2 Blade Champions, which is kind of like your bread and butter, really, in any Folger Pyle's list. It's Wardens and Blade Champions. 1 Valerian. That's right, Valerian appeared in that list. 1 Shield Captain on the Virtus Praetor with the extra damage strength enhancement and AP. 5 Wardens with Spears and a Vexilla. You know, that is your bread and butter for Folger. 1x4 Witch Seekers, 2x4 Prosecutors. But what I've very silly left off there is that he actually took 2 Custodes Grav Tanks with Blaze Cannons. And that was very silly of me for missing that. That's my mistake. But yes, he took 2 tanks as well. And I watched him pilot that list, and he piloted it in a way where he was actually really reserved. He wasn't really pushing. He was actually really sitting back with those Wardens, only really pushing them forward to score points. And he used them more for that element of threat, because let's be honest, you're not going to engage them in combat. And if you're he wasn't putting them in a position to be shot, because WTC terrain is very dense. So what he was doing was he was slowly positioning them. And then when he needed to, he could then push, jump on his opponent and really start denying them. But it's very difficult to move 15 OC, well, it's more than that, 18 OC off of an objective when you've got a unit like Wardens, because they've got that +1 OC, so 3 OC per Warden because of the Vexilla, and it's very difficult to move that. You can't just put a chaff unit on there, because you won't out OC them, you won't kill them, you won't out OC them. So what do? You have to commit something to them. But if they're really well hidden, what do you commit to deal with them? That's your question. Now on UKTC terrain, however, it's a little bit more challenging. I don't know if you'd necessarily be able to play the way Folger played this list, because it's a lot more open. However, those 2 tanks probably makes this list still really viable on UKTC, because those tanks were obviously providing the tank threat. Then you've obviously got that Shield Captain with the Virtus Praetor, and I've just realised as well that I've missed off his 2 bikes. Very silly of me. I've missed Bunch off this list. And he had 2 Virtus Praetors alongside that Shield Captain. So he still has that threat of those missiles going forward. So, very interesting list. And I will quickly correct it now so that you all know what it is. So I've just quickly corrected that list. So as you can see, he's got the 2 Virtus Praetors, 2 Custodes Grav Tanks with Blaze Cannons, and he's still enjoying taking Talons. He prefers Talons, but in this situation, at this event, he felt the need to take a list like this. And I've got to admit, it was very impressive watching him play. I found it really, really interesting, and it was quite inspiring as a Adeptus Custodes player to watch the world champion of Warhammer 40k with Adeptus Custodes pilot his list and do so well. And I got to admit, even his attitude at the table was spectacular. The way he played was really good, and it was very impressive to watch. I had a great conversation with him afterwards, and I cannot wait to bring him to the channel. And as you can see, he still prefers Talons. So, as I mentioned earlier, we've got a giveaway going on at the minute, and that is with our lovely host, Terrain Forge, who sponsor us. All you need to do is like and follow our Facebook page, like and follow our Instagram, like and subscribe our YouTube channel, and we'll enter you into a giveaway, and there's a chance for you to win this set. We don't care where you are, where you're from, we'll send it over to you, we'll pay the fees to get it to you, and you can then have this amazing set. And it is really an amazing set. I have one. I sprayed it with Colour Forge sprays, and it looks fantastic. So that was the end of my presentation this week. I'm sorry I had to like mid-edit. But, you know, it wouldn't be a Black Crow without some form of silly error somewhere. But I just want to say again, massive thank you for all the support, and it's great talking to you, and it was what an experience at the WTC I had Home Nations at Element Games. It was fantastic. It's a fantastic venue in Stockport. If you get a chance, go visit it. But I've been Arron from Black Crow. Thank you very much, guys.